So you just bought your dream home, and now it's time to move. Let's face it, nobody likes to move. All the packing, unpacking, lifting, upstairs, downstairs, and broking everything, including your back. Let the professionals at EJA Moving Company take all the stress and pain out of your move. Competitively priced moving, relocation services, office moves, and complete packing and unpacking services. They work with everybody to make it simple and easy for you to move and relocate. Call EJA Moving Company at 315-335-0516. When it's time to relocate, have EJA Moving do all the work for you. Hit them up online, ejamoving.com.
Want to know what's going on at the D? Hit up DisruptionNetwork.net and check out our events calendar brought to you by the Events Co. Find out about upcoming guests, special events, concerts, show schedules, community activities, and more. Get connected at DisruptionNetwork.net.
Hey, everybody, what's going on? Welcome back one more time to All Pucked Up, brought to you by MyGarageBar.com and, of course, Disruption Network. I do have to apologize. We meant to be on about 15 minutes earlier, and I don't know if anybody out there is experiencing this, but Facebook decided to go ahead and change the format. I know a lot of people don't have this yet. I apparently do. So when I'm trying to sign on to Facebook and trying to get everything all aligned like we usually do, it's a totally different screen. And yeah, so surprise.
So our show went to Toronto for the for a video review.
Nothing like, 5 minutes before we're set to start, finding out that the entire format, the whole page we work off of is completely changed. So and it's, I don't know why Facebook always does this. They change the format.
You want to know why they do it? Because they can.
To screw
That's why.
They do it to screw with you.
And they're like, what are you going to do about it? Nothing. You're going to complain about it on your show, and that's it.
Yeah. And it sucks because obviously Todd Williams is guru for all our technical stuff. He's not even here. He's operating us remotely from
he's like the Wizard of Oz.
He is the Wizard of Oz.
The Wizard of Todd.
But it sucks because we're like, oh wait, Todd, can you take a look at this from your end and see what's going on? And his hasn't even been updated yet. So we're looking at two totally different screens. What a train wreck. Anyways, yeah. So people probably looking, and no Yoshi today. No Yoshi. Yeah. So I guess he must still be doing his. I
guess so.
Yeah, he. I know that work had him on like a assignment, so maybe look for Yoshi to come back next.
Yoshi, come back.
You can blame it all
on us. Yeah, just blame it on me. It's easier.
But and we have an entire Rangers talk.
Yeah.
For today. And you know what happened? No Rangers fans. They usually pop out of the damn network. We couldn't get any Rangers fans to come in and talk about Rangers with us. How crazy is that?
So they'll have to watch. And
what about me? What about me? Maybe you can sit in on the second half with us when we talk about that. So good stuff. But what you been up to? I know we took last week off.
Yeah.
Basically, the office had the flu.
Yeah, pretty much. Everybody got sick. Yeah. And I got to tell you, I am tired today, Rich. I'm tired.
Really?
Well, my beer league team, we had to play twice this weekend. Normally we don't. We usually just play Saturday nights. Well, last weekend we were supposed to play Saturday night as well, and we got postponed because Clinton High School, the varsity hockey team, has first dibs at the Clinton Arena. Well, they were supposed to play Friday night, but they got snowed out because of the snowstorm we got.
Yeah.
So they got moved into the Saturday night slot where we were going to play. So we got bumped to last night at 9:30. You know what? I feel every bit of my 45 years old today because we played two nights in a row is a lot for me. You know?
Wait a minute. You're 45?
I'm 45.
I'm freaking older than you. How'd that happen?
Really?
Yeah, I always thought you were older than me. Not by much.
Well,
I'm a little fart, man.
It's the hair. It's the hair.
See
or lack thereof.
The things we learned.
Yeah.
Good Lord.
But yeah, I mean, good times. We didn't win, of course, but hey. Good times, and I just I'm kind of crawling around today.
I noticed that when you came You came in the door, you sat right down.
Oh, yeah. It was everything to get off the couch this morning to come to the show.
I noticed when I called you earlier today, too. You were,
I was half asleep.
you're like,
I was awake. I'm like, yeah. Okay, Rich, just get to the point, please. Yeah.
oh, my Lord.
Because it hurts to talk right now.
Yes. Well, listen, we're going to try to make the most of this conversation, even though it's just me and you.
That's okay.
And we'll see where we go with it.
Yeah.
I know there's some stuff that we probably missed from last week since, obviously, like I said, we were out with the flu. And the trades are starting to amp up a little bit.
Before we get going on that,
Mm-hmm.
I just want to throw this in really quick. Now, a few months back, we did our hot seat show. Remember that?
Yes.
The coaches and all that.
Oh, yes. I know where you're going.
And I just want to throw this out there. I'm 3 for 4.
Puckstradamus.
I'm 3 for 4.
Are you really?
Because Bruce Boudreau
Yeah, he
got fired.
he's
And it was
off
surprising
nowhere.
because Minnesota's actually playing good hockey. And then they lose 2 games in a row, and they're like, Billy Guerin's like, okay, I've had enough.
You know, though, don't you kind of feel like he got a little bit of a raw deal?
He did. I think he did. And I don't understand why at this point.
I don't either.
Because by all
a great
accounts, he's a
coach.
good guy. Everybody seems to like him. Mm-hmm. And I'm not trying to second guess Billy Guerin because he's a very smart guy himself.
Right.
But they're a borderline bubble team for the playoffs.
Yeah.
And it's simply by the virtue that they went on a decent run over the past couple weeks. So they kind of got back into the race. But if you go on a decent run to get back into the race, why are you getting rid of your coach now?
I don't know.
The Peter Laviolette firing from Nashville, I totally understand because they were just in the ruts. They had to do something to try to switch things up.
He's
Okay.
another coach, though, man. I hated to see him go. I like Lavs, man.
Me too. Me too. And I don't think he's going to be unemployed long.
No.
I mean, this is going to be a crazy offseason, right? And the John Hines one, which is like the low-hanging fruit, the one that I called. Yeah, no kidding. Everybody kind of knew he was going to go.
Right.
You know who's hanging on unbelievably? The coach of the worst team in the NHL.
Detroit.
Jeff
Yes,
Blashill
yes,
still has a job.
But you know what?
So
Good on them for at least, and I was watching the game yesterday, and they were saying the same thing. Good on them for at least giving him a little bit of a chance. They knew.
yeah,
That's a team you
it's
went
a train wreck. It is.
in. You knew it was going to be a train
I
wreck.
still think Gerard Gallant's going to end up there.
Yeah.
Him and Stevie Y got that relationship going way back.
Mm-hmm.
As it turns out, reports are saying I guess Gallant can be kind of hard to work with from a management standpoint. So that could be the reasoning why Vegas made the move after to get rid of him.
Right.
But I just still think that he will end up in Detroit as a coach. I think that even though there's going to be a ton of coaches available.
Yeah.
Look at it this offseason. It's going to be crazy, right?
Yeah, you're right.
You got
Absolutely.
Gallant, Mike Babcock's out there,
Oh, I forgot.
Peter Laviolette, now Bruce Boudreau. If you're a young coach in the AHL thinking you're going to get a shot somewhere, like, I guess,
Yeah.
honey, don't put the house on the market just yet. Don't do it.
But yeah, man. So wait, is this going to be an official Puckstradamus type thing?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. You know what? I'm going to go out on the limb. It's probably going to break. But, I'm just going to call it. Gallant's going to end up in Detroit.
Gallant to Detroit. Okay, so there we go. Who's ever keeping records for us somewhere?
And here's another one. If Tampa Bay falls flat on their face,
Mm-hmm.
I think Cooper's going to be out.
Really?
With the amount of good coaches that's going to be out there and available, and the way they're playing right now, it doesn't look like they're going to. But if there's another sloppy first round exit, or at this point, if you're Tampa Bay, and we'll talk about them in the trade segment, it's Stanley Cup or bust.
Yeah.
Really,
It is.
At this point, yeah.
I don't know what they're doing. I thought, I'm watching Tampa. I think they've won like 10 games in a row now or something like that.
Yeah, it was a ridiculous run they've been on.
Don't you know? You don't want the President's Cup. You don't want that. You don't want the President's Trophy.
They're not going to catch Boston.
You don't think so?
I don't think so. I think Boston got too far ahead of them for that. Barring a monumental collapse,
Yeah.
all right, of course that could always happen. But don't forget, excuse me, Boston's used to dealing with injuries.
Yeah.
So if they get hit with the injury bug, it's not going to be as devastating to them because they're used to it.
Yeah.
What did we say last year? We didn't know what the real Boston team was because most of the team was hurt for half the year.
You're right.
So we'll see, but I don't think they're going to catch Boston for the division title, let alone the President's Cup.
I don't know, man. They're a streaking team. They're hot, and
Yeah, well,
for some reason I don't want to bet against them.
yeah, but you know what though? All it takes is that one bad injury.
You're right. But I'll say this.
Because that's what hit them earlier in the season, too.
Yep.
And Edmund being out, they had a scare with Kucherov.
Yeah.
All right. Stamkos has been out. And I mean, they've weathered the storm pretty well. But, McDonough's apparently a little banged up now, too.
But either way, you could be right. I mean, Cooper. That's
It's like they've been the ultimate underachieving team.
they have with the amount of talent that's on that.
What are we always saying? They're like, for the past few years, they've been like the Lamborghini with a V6.
That they have.
Great to look at. Wow, that's awesome. But then you take it out on the road, it's like, okay, there's got to be something more here.
So what do you say? I mean, if they get into that first round and they have a grinder team, can they? Hey, there's Z. Erica's probably watching this show going, close the curtain, close the curtain. She's a big stickler on that curtain. But do you think they can grind, or are they still the same team from last year?
It depends on who they run into.
Yeah.
It really does. Last year when they ran into that Columbus juggernaut, which we called too, by the way.
Yep.
And I say juggernaut with quotation marks, of course. You can't see it on the camera, right? I mean, Columbus was solid top to bottom. Mm-hmm. They had solid goaltending. And no team wants to go against John Tortorella in the playoffs.
No.
I'm going to tell you that right now. People can either love or hate John Tortorella, but he is one hell of a coach, and his teams will run through brick walls for him.
Absolutely.
So you don't want to face the John Tortorella coach teams in the playoffs. It looks like there's potential for that to be a reality again. Imagine that. Columbus versus Tampa Bay 2.
2 years
Feel like
in a
Rocky
row.
2. Yeah.
Ain't gonna be no rematch. Yeah, guess what? There is. Oh Lord! Hey, listen, we got to start talking about some of these trades, and I
Yeah, absolutely. Sorry, I got you a little sidetracked there.
No.
I had to get that out of my system.
That's all right. I could see it. It's been in your system for 2 weeks. We got to get that going.
We couldn't hold back anymore.
So we did miss one of the bigger trades. I think that kind of started the ball rolling, and that was Jason Zucker going to Pittsburgh.
There was one before that, actually.
Who am I missing?
And that was L.A. traded Kyle Clifford and Jack Campbell to the
Okay.
Leafs
Yes.
for Trevor Moore and 2 third-round picks, one of which can turn into a second-rounder under certain conditions. Not quite as big for the Zucker trade and all that, but that kind of got the ball rolling.
Yeah. Yep.
And it was kind of funny watching the social media on that Leafs-Kings trade because Kyle Clifford was a huge fan favorite in L.A. Loved him. Tough guy. Could pot a goal for you every once in a while.
Sure.
And all that, right? So the way it was being blown up, and I think that's just a side product of a quiet trade deadline so far. In L.A., you would have thought that they just traded off Wayne Gretzky. They were going ballistic about it. I can't believe we only got a third-rounder for Kyle Clifford. Kyle Clifford's got like 6 points this year.
Yeah.
And great leader in the room, and it's an intangible that you always want on your team.
But
then you turn around and you look at Maple Leafs social media, and you would have thought they just got David Pastrnak.
yeah.
It's just the whole dynamic was crazy. But the biggest piece out of that whole thing could very well be Jack Campbell, the goalie that got traded from L.A., who was a reclamation project, really.
Yeah. And we've been
L.A.
saying,
picked him up for a minor leaguer a few years ago. He was a former first-round pick by the Stars, considered to be a bust. Went to L.A., rejuvenated his career, and now all of a sudden he's playing better hockey than Freddie Anderson. Now, Freddie Anderson's also playing beat up.
Right.
And can't blame the guy because the Maple Leafs have just rode this guy like a racehorse for the past 2 years. He's bound to break down a little bit. But it's a good trade for the Leafs to get their backup goaltender
They needed it.
they needed, and they got some toughness that they're going to need in the playoffs and a great leader in the room.
Yeah.
I think L.A. got a good return, too, in the regards that they got a younger, Trevor Moore is a bottom 6 guy. Let's just be honest about it. Okay, but to get 2 third-rounders with a potential for a second-rounder isn't a bad deal either. Yeah. So if you ask me on that one, both teams won. And Clifford's an unrestricted free agent at the end of the season. So if L.A. really wants him back that bad, they can overpay to get him.
Yeah.
So,
speaking of Toronto, I still don't know. I think they've got to do something else.
Yeah. There's just something about Toronto that they kind of remind me of Tampa Bay.
Yeah.
There's all that talent there, but there's just the missing ingredient somewhere.
A lot of potential, but
I think they need more help on their blue line, just like everybody else does. But and much like with every other team in the league, it seems Toronto is butted up against the cap. L.A. had to retain half of Clifford's salary to make that deal happen.
Yeah.
And they had to take Trevor Moore back so that the numbers would work. Is Toronto going to be able to do anything else going forward? They're going to have to play some real gymnastics to do it.
Yeah, with that cap.
Possible.
Nope.
We'll see. I mean, they're using up all kinds of LTIR space as well.
I'll tell you what, though.
But that's the problem right there when you want to, when they brought John Tavares in. Mm-hmm. that move could very well end up backfiring on them. As great as John Tavares is, knowing you're going to have to pay Austin Matthews, knowing you got to pay Morgan Riley,
Well,
knowing
that's
that
what we
you
said.
got these youngsters that are coming, Mitch Marner, you got to pay him.
We said it from the start. Your
William
window
Nylander,
is
I mean-
very, very. That's a very quick.
You got to decide where you want to spend your money.
Yeah. Yep.
And it's a common mistake that's made. Everybody falls in love with having the high-priced forwards and the flashy forwards and all that.
Not if it's going to screw
But
the team in
if
the
your
long run.
defense is full of Swiss cheese holes,
Yeah.
what good is it? They're going to have to re-sign Jake Muzzin. They got to figure out how to do that.
Yeah.
Tyson Berry's a free agent at the end of the season. He's come on in Morgan Riley's absence since he's been hurt. But how are they going to do it?
They're not. They're
How?
not going to do it.
So
It's exactly what they're
now, granted, they got a great farm system in the Toronto Marlies, and their team is always towards the top of the AHL, but that doesn't always translate into instant NHL success.
Right.
So lots of questions for Maple Leaf Nation.
Let's talk about a little more about that Zucker trade. Obviously,
Let's do it. Sorry.
No.
Once again, 3 off.
We're making pit stops at
Pretty much. Today, folks, is follow the bouncing ball. We don't even know where we're going. Okay.
Penguins dealing out Galchenyuk. Oh, I'm going to be honest with you. Not sad about that.
You mean to tell me you didn't have a box of Kleenex on the standby?
I totally did.
Toilet paper?
Yeah, and I'm not really sure. At this point, I don't really have faith in him to go to any system. They're saying like maybe now he can get a little more playing time, but I don't know, man. You were on like an insanely offensive team.
Right.
They're scoring goals left and right. What did he have? 5 goals or something
he
like
was just
that?
awful.
45 games. Come on. I mean, you got to step it up. And you've been in the doghouse the last 2 teams you've been at. I don't know what the guy's got left.
Oh, really 3 when you think about Montreal.
Yeah, you're right. So I know they were saying it's good on both sides. Obviously, the Penguins getting Zucker, that's somebody who they needed now, especially with Gensel gone.
Right.
But I don't really see as much of a plus side with Galchenyuk.
No, well, the getting rid of Galchenyuk was salary.
Yeah.
That was, but they had to throw in the first-round pick, and they put in their top-rated prospect in that deal, too. Kalen Addison, his name,
Yeah.
I believe.
Yeah.
He was rated number 1 for the Penguins. So the Penguins certainly paid the price.
Paid the price, but
But you know what? If you're the Penguins, you got to do this.
Yeah.
Because, number 1, Gunsel's out for the year.
Yep.
Pretty much. I mean, there's a possibility but are they saying that maybe if they make a deep playoff run, he might be able to
come
come
back. I wouldn't count on that.
I wouldn't either. And don't forget, you got rid of Phil Kessel, who, for as much as this guy gets his chops broken, is still a 30-goal scorer.
Yeah. Yep.
So think about next year too, because Gunsel's under contract Zucker's under contract for 2 seasons after this one.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. He's
Not
not a rental
affordable
for
hit.
this
It's a
year.
$5.5 million deal, I think, per season.
Yeah, it is.
Something like that. So it's reasonable.
Yep.
It's reasonable. So to get that, you're going to have to pay the price. There's no doubt in my mind.
Mm-hmm.
So you're going to get Gunsel back next year, and you got Zucker for 2 more years. You still got Crosby and Malkin who are producing.
Mm-hmm.
Of course you got Brian Russ there still.
Yep.
Of course you make that deal.
Yeah.
You make that deal.
The only the only player that I think is in their system right now that they're probably going to part ways with is maybe Schultz.
Yeah, I mean, and would you really miss him?
Seeing that he's been injured so
Constantly.
yeah, I mean he's
Constantly.
I love the guy, but he's brittle. He really
Oh,
is.
exactly. It seems like the whole Penguins defense core is made of glass. Not to bust
didn't
your
wanna
chops,
say that.
but it's true.
Yeah, no, I
You
know
know?
they're always injured. I think they're the most injured team in the NHL.
Yeah, maybe you ought to look to get a new training staff. Trade for one of those.
Whatever they got
You know?
in Pittsburgh waters, don't drink it no more, please. It's not doing you any favors.
But no, you know what? I don't blame the Penguins one bit for giving up the haul that they did.
Yeah.
Yeah, and because if you think about it, if you're the Penguins, with your first round pick, that's going to be should be anyways, more comparable to a high second round pick.
Absolutely.
It's not like they're giving up a lottery pick.
I'm trying to think of what they've
And there's
done.
no guarantee that a first rounder is going to pan out.
No, well, listen.
There's no
I
guarantee
don't
of
think,
that.
and maybe somebody can check this out there and double check me on this, but I don't think that the Penguins have literally had their first round pick in years.
Right.
That's constantly something they do. They're constantly trading that off.
Right.
So they've made a habit of it.
And I mean, unless you're getting a top 5 pick, you're not going to hear from this first round pick for a few years anyway.
Exactly.
And by the time he gets up in the NHL, who is that? Oh yeah, he was a first round pick 3 years ago.
I mean,
Oh, okay. Well, they're going to have to start him off on the 4th line. Granted, you don't want to trade off first round picks all the time
no.
because they have the better chance of panning out
Yeah,
for you.
Sure. But
But to do that while you're in the Stanley Cup window, and if you can get a guy who's a reasonable cap hit, absolutely.
yeah, I mean,
Absolutely do it.
you've got Malkin and Crosby probably somewhere in the next like 3 to 5 years that they're going to be
Right.
around.
And, well, 3 definitely.
Yeah.
5, you might be pushing,
Might be
it a little
pushing
bit.
it.
But still,
Go for it while you got it.
Absolutely.
I mean,
absolutely.
why not?
And
That's the whole
and
point.
by the way, fantasy hockey wise, as soon as I saw that trade come through and the notification, it took me about 20 seconds to get on the page and pick up Zucker because they got him on the Crosby line. And he seems like playing on the Crosby line quite a bit.
Yeah, he had like 2 goals in his second game with
Yeah,
him, so
exactly. He's got like 10 shots on goal already.
Yeah.
So
You
I
were
think
there-
the idea is let Sid get you the puck and just shoot the thing, will you?
you were on
Fire
that
it.
page 20 seconds after.
Before I text you.
I was on 30 seconds. I missed it by like 10 seconds. Damn, you got my guy. One Penguins player I don't have? What's going on, Rob?
I know, right? Because you only got the. I think you've actually got their farm system sitting on your bench too,
I do.
don't you?
I do.
Yeah.
I totally do.
The Deadly Penguins, not the Piss Pots. It's the Penguins.
Maybe I'll change my name.
You should.
Hey, whatever I'm doing is working.
Yeah, pretty much. You spanked me this week, so yeah.
Hey, that was a good game. That's the best game I've had. You've spanked me the first 2 games. So I think we played.
Yeah,
This is the 3rd time.
but I think the one week there that we played the middle game
Yeah.
was the week that you were like on your 2-week hiatus because you were so busy and you weren't paying
Yeah,
attention to your
yeah.
team. So I totally took advantage of that.
That's all right. That's
Yeah.
okay. We're going to see each other in the.
Oh, I'm sure.
I know it.
I'm sure this isn't over yet. You know what I just thought of too? I should bring the trophy in that we play for.
Oh man.
So that our viewing audience can see what we're always talking
Yeah,
about.
we can see what's
The
going on
Gretzky
there.
Cup.
We got a couple other players I just want to mention real quick before we take our little break here. Wow, it's already past 12:30. We started late.
Yeah. So we
Taylor Hall. Taylor Hall's a name that I guess we should mention only because there is a possibility that he gets traded for a second time this season.
Yeah.
So I know he said that he wanted to finish out the season with the Coyotes. I'm sure they all say that.
Yeah.
What do you think the chances are that you see him move before the deadline?
This to me could play out like the John Tavares situation did with the Islanders.
Mm-hmm.
Now he's saying the same exact thing that Tavares did. No, I want to finish out the season. Let's see how this works out.
Right.
Right? And then he ended up burning the Islanders anyway.
So you think
Okay?
he's-
So if you're Arizona and you all of a sudden say Darcy Kemper's done for the season because they were riding him.
Yeah.
Okay? You can't depend on Antti Raanta. He's always hurt as well.
Absolutely.
So if you're Arizona and you know you gave up your first round pick in the Taylor Hall deal, you gave up prospects, if you can get back what you lost, why not?
Yeah.
I would do it.
You're right. That team
I would do it.
that team right now
Because
is
Taylor Hall's
dependent
big
on
thing is,
Darcy
too,
Kuemper.
and he's been saying this for the past couple of years, he wants to be in the playoffs.
Sure.
Yeah, you can't blame the guy.
Right.
I mean, he was trapped in Edmonton hell for, 8 years. Went to New Jersey. They had 1 playoff appearance, right? So you can't blame the guy as he's getting older for wanting to go to a team. Now, he's probably going to have to take a salary cut.
Oh, yeah.
He's not going to get as much as he thinks he is if he wants to be on a contender, of course, right? But if you're Arizona and you are pretty much convinced that you don't have the horses this year to make a serious run, and you're not getting any guarantees from Taylor Hall that he wants to come back,
Right. Then
you know what? I would.
why not?
I would do it. Because Arizona's got young guys they got coming up through the system that they want to get in. So you might take a half step back, but you know you've got a solid core in place. You got a solid core in place with Arizona right now with the players they got. So if you can replenish what you had to give up to get Taylor Hall, I would do it.
So who out there could use a left winger that would be willing
Who
to
couldn't?
that would be willing to pay? I mean, he's got I don't know what
Well-
his contract looks like, but
Well, I mean, the contract, once you get to trade deadline, really doesn't mean much of anything because it's prorated.
yeah, that's true.
Right. So, what does he have? I think he's got like an $8 million cap hit for the season, but it's prorated down to what they've already paid him. So, it would be like $2.5 million, something like that. But their teams that are looking for wingers are Boston, Calgary.
Yeah.
Calgary's looking. Nashville still thinks that they're in it. They could certainly use some scoring help up front.
Nashville's one of those teams, man, that I just can't get a grasp on.
And you know who else is looking is the Islanders.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
Islanders need help in their top six. And they've been kind of slipping as of late, too. So
Yeah,
I would
yeah.
look for the Islanders to make some kind of a move by the deadline because they're in that no man's land, right? So they're probably not going to fall out of the playoff race. Probably is the key word there. But if they stay where they are, even with Trotz's system and Trotz's structure, you're still not really considered an odds-on favorite.
Yeah.
Now, granted, you can get hot at the right time, of course, but you're going to want that guy that can get you that goal when you need it, right? So the question becomes, what are they willing to give up, though? Now, they just gave up a haul for Andy Green, if you ask me, a second-round pick, and they gave up a prospect as well
Yeah.
for Andy Green. I mean, granted, don't get me wrong. Andy Green's a great defenseman. He is. But you're a solid defender, stay-at-home guy. He's not going to get you a lot of points, of course. But he's, 37, 38? And you just gave up a second-rounder?
Yeah, it's a lot.
So, I mean, granted, okay, shores up your blue line. Understood. But, man, a second-round pick and a prospect?
Yeah.
So, I mean, apparently Lou Lamoriello loved the guy. I guess when he drafted him, apparently, when he was still with the Devils or something like that. So there's that connection there. It's going to take at least a first-rounder and a high-end prospect to get Taylor Hall.
Yeah.
So, and you got to figure now there's other teams in play with trying to get rid of players, right? So you got the Rangers, who are still on the fence about Chris Kreider. We'll go into that next segment.
I was going to talk about that. I was like, let's hold off on that.
We'll go into that.
Yeah.
But you got the Kings who are looking to trade Tyler Toffoli, who suddenly, imagine that, gets hot at the right time, right? By the way, nice win the Stadium Series. At least we won that.
I knew you would like that.
It was nice to see them. I don't mean to sidebar, but it was nice to see for the Kings that core group that won the Stanley Cups get one last big win on the big stage.
Sure.
Because they're going to be active at the trade deadline. A lot of those guys are gone. So it was nice for them to see them at least do it one more time. And by the way, I just want to say that there was a lot of crap about the uniforms. I don't know if you saw any of that Stadium Series game.
Yeah.
The Kings with the chrome helmet. Now, I hated it at first, but it kind of grew on me.
Really?
It did. It kind of grew on me, but I have to say the Avalanche were horrible. Those uniforms are terrible. They looked like generic Captain America. Did you see the A on the side of their helmets?
Yeah,
Did you see that? You know what was missing? They needed the wings.
The little
wings.
the
That's
full
all
Captain
they needed.
America.
I'm like, this is god awful. What is this?
You would think as obsessed with like Marvel movies and
Right.
Avengers. I would have saw that. I didn't see that though.
That's all.
Great.
Just these little wings will fly as they're skating. Just this little flapping in the wind. It was pretty cool though how they managed to get an F-16 inside the stadium.
Let me ask you something because I
got
just
sidetracked.
That's all right. I've just looked at the time. We're gonna really cut down on our Rangers talk here, but
Well, Yoshi's not here anyway, so
we got to mention the Devils real quick.
Sure.
Obviously, we were talking about Tom Fitzgerald. Now that he's kind of taken over for Ray Sherrill, we were talking about this before. Ray Sherrill, some of those deals, maybe.
Well, everybody said he should have got more for Taylor Hall.
Yeah. And it's funny because Ray Sherrill, I thought everybody knows he's kind of a wheeler and dealer. That's his reputation through the league. But now and Tom Fitzgerald, I should kind of mention he was with him in Pittsburgh, so they were kind of working hand in hand. Yeah. But now, obviously, Fitzgerald's kind of looking towards rebuilding with the youth and going for draft picks, going for prospects. I totally get it. Is there anybody else from that team now that Coleman's gone, Andy Green's gone? Who else could we?
One big free agent they have coming up is Sammy Vatanen. And defense is always at a premium. And there's teams out there that are really in need of help on the blue line, Winnipeg being one of them.
Yeah.
If Florida doesn't do something soon, they are going to be out of this race, which is a shame because I was banging that drum all year long.
I know you were.
I really thought that they were going to be better.
Yep.
I knew that the defense was kind of porous. Bobrovsky's having a rough first year down there, and they're really not doing – and honestly, I blame the general manager, Dale Talon, on this one. Because if you didn't see that your defense was that bad and you didn't pull the trigger on a deal earlier, then shame on him. Because they got the offense. The offense is there. But if you couldn't make a deal to help that defense out a little bit, then that's on him, right?
Yep.
So there's that. Everybody at the trade deadline is always going to be looking for some help on the defense. Washington wants help on the blue line. Sure. They're not going to be able to get Sammy Vatanen. They're not going to, but they've been linked to actually Derek Forbort from L.A.
Yeah,
their defenseman. So what they'll get for Vatanen, I don't know. I would say maybe a second rounder.
Okay.
Sammy Vatanen has never really impressed me. To me, he's always just a great offense guy, great power play guy. But I don't want him on the ice if you're up 1 goal trying to protect a lead with 1 minute left. I don't want him out on the ice. And the playoffs is an entirely different animal from the regular season. That's when you want those. That's the type of playoff guys you want, right? So are they going to – they'll trade him. There's no doubt. What they'll get for him, we're going to have to see what the market dictates.
Yeah.
Really.
I know,
but with them getting a second rounder for Andy Green, it's certainly not out of the realm of possibility.
Oh, you're right.
Certainly not.
And I know reading there, Wayne Simmons, I don't think they're going to get much for Wayne Simmons these days. But
Vancouver, they've talked about because of Michael Furland they sent him down to Utica for a conditioning assignment, and he ended up getting a concussion in Syracuse.
Oh, okay.
And this is like he's had several concussions, so they're saying that he could pretty much be done for his career.
Wow.
And Wayne Simmons could actually be a help come playoff time for the very reason we just talked about. Mm-hmm. Grind him down, guy. Wayne Simmons is not the same player he used to be.
Yeah.
Let's just be honest. He's not. But you know what, though? He could help you in a third, fourth line role.
Yeah.
You need somebody to eat up some minutes for you. You need to wear down that offense a little bit. That's Wayne Simmons. That's going to be his game now. You don't give up a ton to give him. Maybe you get a fifth rounder, or a low-end prospect. Roll the dice.
Right.
See what happens. But they're certainly not going to re-sign him, so why not?
Yeah. Before we go to
the Blake Coleman trade, what a steal.
Absolutely was.
Oh, my God. They got a first-round draft pick. It's actually Vancouver's first-round pick.
Yeah, I was asking you to explain that.
Which there's a condition on it, okay? So Vancouver traded their first-round pick to Tampa Bay at the trade deadline for JT Miller, which turned out to be one heck of a deal. JT Miller is lighting it up in Vancouver.
Sure.
Been great. The condition is if Vancouver makes the playoffs this year, that first-round pick goes to next season or next year's draft.
So the 21
draft.
Okay.
If they don't make the playoffs, then it's a 2020 first-rounder.
Okay.
That's the condition on that deal. But they also, the Devils also got Nolan Foote, who was a first-round pick 2 years ago, I think, and one of the highly rated prospects that Tampa Bay had. So they're saying, well, Blake Coleman's got term. And he's got a very, very affordable cap hit. He's $1.8 million. Mm-hmm. But it's for this season and for next season. So it's not like he's signed long-term.
Yeah.
And he's going to be 29 when that contract expires, so he's going to want to get paid. So this is a move with Tampa Bay thinking their window's open. Let's go for it now.
Yeah.
So, but
two players really I think we've got to mention before we cut to our break. Holtby, do you think he's going anywhere?
No.
Staying put?
Absolutely not. Because you need that 1-2 combination going to the playoffs. Washington's window is still wide open for a Stanley Cup. You don't take a chance of trading one of your goalies going into the playoffs.
Yeah.
Absolutely not.
They're looking a little tired as of lately.
The lull. Every team hits the lull.
Yeah.
I will say that it was kind of interesting. I don't know if you saw any of that Colorado-Washington game. Colorado finally did something that I've been waiting for every team in the NHL to do.
What's that?
They covered Ovechkin on the power play.
Oh.
Somebody was actually covering him.
Yeah.
He couldn't stand there without 25 feet of open ice just waiting so he can hammer away 12 shots on the power play. They actually had somebody covering him.
You're right. I don't know why in the hell nobody ever picked that up.
They don't go anywhere near him either.
Everybody knows that's the shot that's coming.
Exactly.
You see him set up there. It's like, come on, guys.
Yeah.
It's clear as crystal. Come on.
I will say, though, he better hurry up and get that 700th goal because you can kind of see it starting to affect them.
Yeah, he's
the whole
still 2 away,
circus
right?
around it. He's one
away. Okay.
So I think Washington, once he gets that 700th goal and they can start getting back into the groove a little bit.
Yeah.
They're gonna be making a couple minor deals at the deadline. I don't see anything major. Mm-hmm. I had mentioned Forbort, and another king that they're looking at is Trevor Lewis.
Okay.
So bottom six help. They don't really need any major deals to be done. They just need to kind of shore up, plug a couple of small holes here and there.
Yep.
But I think it'll be a world of good for Washington once he finally gets that 700th goal, and the circus can end for that anyway.
Yeah, yeah. Pietrangelo?
No.
Staying
absolutely
put?
not. Same reason.
Okay.
St. Louis is in their Stanley Cup window.
Yeah, they're not.
They're going to end up paying him. They'll probably end up overpaying him in the offseason, but he's one of those guys that you almost have to. You know, he's the captain of your team, the heart and soul of a Stanley Cup winning team.
Yeah.
You pay him.
Stay in. Yeah.
You pay him, and you deal with the consequences.
And we should probably mention Torrey Krug, too.
No.
Staying put?
Same reason.
Okay.
These are all teams that are in their Stanley Cup window.
Yep.
So unless it's a blow your socks off deal that you can't say no to, there's no reason to mess with it.
Gotcha.
You know, if they were a borderline team, yeah, maybe like what we were talking about with Arizona and Toronto and Taylor Hall, right? So they're a borderline now. They were a front runner, not any longer. It would make sense for them to try to recoup what they lost. But with Washington, St. Louis, and Boston, they're all favorites.
Yeah.
Why are you going to take a key piece out in a trade deadline deal
You're right.
to get prospects?
Last one, I promise. I know I keep saying one more guy. This one absolutely is Jean-Gabriel Pageau.
That's a hot potato.
Yeah.
Because he actually very much so likes playing in Ottawa. But if you're Ottawa, you have to make the deal because somebody's going to overpay for him. All right, Pageau he's a very good player.
Yeah.
He's in a career year right now, even though he's cooled off. He had that awesome first half of the season, and he's kind of come back to reality. So he's still going to be a solid third-line center for a playoff contender. He's going to be that, defensive shutdown guy because that's really what he is.
Right.
I mean, this offense just kind of came out of nowhere. So somebody's going to overpay to get him, but don't be surprised if he re-signs with Ottawa in the offseason.
Okay.
He likes it there. He's from Ottawa.
Yeah.
So it's like his hometown team.
Take the little rental in.
And I'm going to tell you something right now. Here's another Puckstradamus moment for everybody.
Uh-oh.
Within 2 to 3 seasons, watch out for the Ottawa Senators.
Come on.
Rich, they've got like 12 or 13 draft picks in this draft alone.
That's true.
3 first-rounders. And how about San Jose, huh?
Wow.
Hey, boy, going out and getting Erik Karlsson was such an awesome idea, wasn't it? Hey, let's give up everything to get Erik Karlsson, and then let's go and sign him to this ridiculously huge contract so he can not do anything for us except drag us down into the abyss.
Cap hell.
I mean, Ottawa could very well end up, they're going to have at least 2 top 10 picks in this draft.
Yeah.
Maybe 2 top 5.
Okay.
Depending on what happens with San Jose, because that's a lottery pick.
So 3 years, you're saying?
I say within 3 years, they're going to be a legit contender.
Okay. All right. Puckstradamus, again, whoever's keeping our records out there, write it down.
It's on video.
It is. It's
from the archives of the Disruption Network.
Yes. All right, Puckstradamus, we have to take our break real quick. Wow, we're way over. But we're going to come back. We're going to do some Rangers talk. Do you have a trivia?
I do, really quick. And since we're going to be doing the Rangers, I'm going to do a Ranger trivia question.
Oh, all right. Let's see. Do we have your music here? Got to have music, right?
Right.
Okay, here we go.
All right. So, breakaway trivia. Today's question is, in honor of us doing the Rangers for the next segment, who has scored the most points in New York Ranger history? Who has scored the most points in New York Ranger history? The answer when we come back.
Join us Saturday, February 8th through the Disruption Network 3-year anniversary party at the Jewish Community Center, 2310 Oneida Street in Utica, New York. Musical acts include Annie in the Water, acoustic performance by Haley Jane, Trampoline Jetstream, and Live Noah. Haley in the Water will cap off the night covering Fleetwood Mac's hit album, Rumors. Party kicks off at 6 p.m. There will be beer, wine, food from Doughboys Barbecue, and Holy Pozzoli. Saturday, February 8th. For tickets, visit our website, disruptionnetwork.net.
So you just bought your dream home, and now it's time to move. Let's face it, nobody likes to move. All the packing, unpacking, lifting, upstairs, downstairs, and broking everything, including your back. Let the professionals at EJA Moving Company take all the stress and pain out of your move. Competitively priced moving, relocation services, office moves, and complete packing and unpacking services. They work with everybody to make it simple and easy for you to move and relocate. Call EJA Moving Company at 315-335-0516. When it's time to relocate, have EJA Moving do all the work for you. Hit them up online, ejamoving.com.
Want to know what's going on at the D? Hit up DisruptionNetwork.net and check out our events calendar brought to you by the Events Co. Find out about upcoming guests, special events, concerts, show schedules, community activities, and more. Get connected at DisruptionNetwork.net.
All right, and we're back. So, breakaway trivia. One last time, here's the question. Who has the most points in New York Ranger history? We have a correct answer here in the studio. Our very own Z got it.
Yeah.
It's Rod Gilbert.
You don't want to come out announce your winner here, huh?
Yeah,
big prize.
you win our undying respect. That's all we can afford. With a grand total of 1,069 points, Rod Gilbert is the all-time leading scorer for the New York Rangers. He leads with goals. Assists, interestingly enough, is Brian Leach, but Brian Leach didn't score as many goals. So the total for points goes to Rod Gilbert. Wow. And congratulations to our winner, Z. Attaboy.
Pulling it out of nowhere, man. Pulling it out of thin air. That's awesome, man. And it was great because as we're sitting here and I'm like, I wonder who it could be. And all of a sudden, out of nowhere.
Yeah, it was like the Wizard of Oz. We've got a Wizard of Oz theme going on today between Todd and now Z from behind the curtain.
Coming up with the right answer from behind the curtain. That was great.
Toto's not going to come running through here anytime soon, is he?
He might. Got to keep an eye out. Hey, so listen, like I said earlier, we wanted to do this big Rangers segment here because we do have a lot of Rangers fans.
Tons of them. They're everywhere.
Yeah, every time we kind of come up with a segment or something, there's always Rangers fans chiming in.
Which has always amazed me because we're like right in the middle of 4 New York State area teams.
Yeah.
Actually 5 if you think about the Bruins.
We're technically
or even
in
6 if you want to include Montreal.
Right?
Montreal's only 3.5 hours, 4 hours away.
Yeah.
Boston's 4 hours away.
Are we technically though?
Technically, we're
Buffalo,
in Buffalo's
right?
market.
Yeah.
So technically, but you got Buffalo, then you got the tri-state teams, right? You got New Jersey, the Islanders, and the Rangers.
Yeah.
But the Rangers far and away are the most popular team around here. So
they dominate the landscape.
They do.
So, anyways, we wanted to talk about them because, excuse me, with they've been a little hot lately.
They've gone on a run.
Yeah. Maybe not yesterday. Sorry. but listen, they've how many games have they won? I don't even know right off the bat.
They won 4 in a row.
4,
and then they lost Boston yesterday 3-1.
Yeah.
They have finally anointed Igor Shesterkin, their number 1 goaltender, even though he's hurt.
Right.
He's got an ankle injury. I don't think it's anything too serious. So I'm hearing from a lot of Ranger fans that he is the next god of goaltending.
Yeah, he's going to be the next Richter.
The next Richter, the next Lundqvist,
yeah.
The next Patrick Waugh, the next everything,
Wow.
The kid's very talented.
Yeah.
There's no doubt about that. I need a bigger sample size than 8 or 9 games, though, before I'm going to go all in on Igor Shesterkin.
And we said a lot of those games were
the thing is, 3 of those
Detroit.
wins that he has, 2 of them came against Detroit and 1 came against the Kings. Yeah. So I want to see what he does against better competition.
Sure.
And the thing is, it seems like almost all goaltenders hit that sophomore slump, right? Think about it this way. 3 seasons, even 2 seasons ago, right? You wouldn't have traded Matt Murray for anybody in hockey.
No.
Right? Now this year, he's supplanted by Tristan Jarry.
Very true.
So goaltending is a fickle position at best.
You're right.
It really is.
You're
okay?
right.
So does a kid got a bright future? I would say sure. Why not? Absolutely. But I want to hold off on anointing him the next number 1 goaltender in the world until I see a little bit more out of him. And what I also want to see, and this is going to be the Rangers' Achilles heel until they get this fixed, their defense is horrid. When you're giving up 40, 42 shots a game, I don't care how good your goaltender is. Eventually, that dam's going to break.
Sure.
They got this flashy offense, and it's all we hear about how, they can outscore anybody, and look at this. Look at it. Okay, that's great. But it's kind of like they say in golf. You drive for show, but you putt for dough. Drive is your offense. Putting is your defense. And if you can't putt, forget it. You're done anyway, right?
Yeah.
So, got to do something about that defense. I've heard rumors that possibly Tony DeAngelo could be out the door.
Really? Okay.
Well, they figure they're going to get a decent return for him, right? So, but all of a sudden, that Jacob Trouba deal doesn't look so good, does it?
No.
They traded the first-round pick back to Winnipeg, who they took Vilhanola, who's another up-and-coming defenseman that they really like, and they gave up Neil Pionk in that deal. And I like Neil Pionk when he was with the Rangers.
Yeah.
The guy's a solid defenseman, and he's lighting it up in Winnipeg now. Why? Because he got an opportunity. He's actually got 15, 17 more points than Trouba does. Mm-hmm. Much better plus-minus. And frankly, better overall numbers at a much cheaper price than that. What did they give him? $8 million a year, right?
Was that what it was?
I think it was $8 million for 8 years. $8 million per season for 8 years.
Okay.
So, I said this before, and I was saying this last year, and we had talked about it on the podcast before. I truly do not believe, and this is not a swipe to get Ranger fans fired up. This isn't. Seriously.
Okay. All right.
I just
the Pinocchio nose.
You got potential. You got potential. But I just don't think Jacob Trouba is a number one defenseman. Okay, he's a very good complementary number two, a solid second pairing defenseman, but I don't think he's the guy that's going to be your number one on every night. Okay, so but you make deals thinking, hey, this is the guy that's who they wanted, and he made it very clear that he wanted to play in New York, so they didn't have to worry about re-signing him.
Right.
So you make the deal. If I were the Rangers, I would have just not given up Neil Pionk. I would have given somebody else up.
Let me ask you a question, because we kind of skirted around this before. Chris Kreider, what do you think on this? You said actually while we were on a break, you think they're going to re-sign him.
Well, they're in contract negotiations. So if I'm the Rangers, I re-sign him.
Okay.
And I'll tell you why. Prospects are great, but you need players that are already there that can bridge that gap. Okay, so the Rangers have the number 4 rated prospects pool in the NHL right now. Okay, so they got guys coming through. But if you're going to continue to move forward and you're going to continue to gel as a team, you're going to need guys that have been there too, right? Guys in the room that have that credibility in the room. They say, hey, this guy's been here for 6, 7, 8 years now. This guy's and not only that, he's looking pretty damn good on their top line.
Yeah, he is.
Why do you want to? I get the whole appeal of getting first-round picks and high-end prospects. I understand that. But it's the same reason why the Devils shouldn't trade Kyle Palmieri. You need guys that can still play.
Yeah.
Prospects are a gamble. They're a roll of the dice. Okay? If you got guys that are there and that can play, do it. Keep them. I mean, and I've also heard, well, they can trade him because Kreids loves New York and he's going to re-sign back with the Rangers anyway. Really? Because they said the same thing about Rick Nash. They said the same thing about Matt Zuccarello last year. Remember that?
Yeah.
Oh, don't worry about it. Let him trade him to Dallas because Zook just absolutely loves playing in the Big Apple. He's coming back. Well, what did he do? He signed a ridiculous contract with Minnesota.
Gone. Yeah.
So you don't think somebody's not going to pony up for Chris Kreider?
Yeah,
of course they're going to.
Well, that's what they.
And if the Rangers don't do something about the cap situation, they're not going to be able to throw a ton of money at him anyways.
Yeah.
So they got to kind of like appeal to him now and say, hey, listen, we can offer you that 8th year. Anybody else is only going to give him a 7-year contract. We'll give you that 8th year. Might have to take a little haircut on the price, but if he really loves New York that much and likes where the team's going, he may be willing to take a little shave on the price tag. Okay. But if I'm the Rangers, I re-sign him. Don't take the chance of letting him go to free agency.
Yeah.
Anything once you get an unrestricted free agency, he's bleeding Ranger Blue. He loves Ranger Blue. You know what players love more? U.S.
Money.
Treasury Green. That's what they love.
U.S. Treasury Green.
Okay. I don't care who your team is. U.S. Treasury Green is the favorite color for any player. Okay? So
it does go a lot longer. Go a lot farther than
it's
Rangers
true.
Blue. That's for sure.
They got some decisions to make. Plus, if you're looking for prospects, they're talking that they could trade Georgiev in the offseason. Although, if I'm the Rangers, I don't pull the trigger on that right away unless I get a deal that I really like.
Yeah.
Because you can also buy out Lundqvist.
I think that
you could buy out Lundqvist and you keep Georgiev around. Because let's say Shesterkin hits that sophomore slump. Let's just say.
Yeah.
All right? But you got a decent team around that you can actually begin to continue to move forward with. So you get rid of Georgiev, okay? You got Lundqvist there, but how much can Lundqvist hold up at this age? Right?
Yeah. They're playing him sparingly at this
exactly.
point.
Exactly. So do you want to risk taking a step back by all of a sudden going from having 3 goalies to being uncovered?
Yeah.
Do you want to do it? I would, if I were the Rangers, I would prefer to keep Georgiev around.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with that.
Run with what you got. You've got prospects coming through. Mark Stahl's coming off the books next year.
Yeah.
So you got cap space coming.
Yep. You can trim a little there. That's
so why not?
I mean,
Or even if you're the Rangers, you want to start sweetening deals. Listen, Elias Anderson hasn't really panned out for them. I think he's actually back in the KHL now, right? Because he had a big blow up of management and all that. He was a number 7 pick a few years back, right? Vitaly Kravtsov, the one that they were anointing as the next big Pavel Bure, right?
Right.
Same problem. He doesn't mesh well with the team. He's back in the AHL now. He actually went to the KHL, came back, didn't like it, went back to the KHL, and now he's back. It's a big circus, right? So, but they're still very talented players, very talented. So you could trade them to help and actually use them to help replenish your blue line.
True. Very true.
Take a team that's deep in defensive prospects and say, okay, here we got these guys. Let's make a deal.
So I have to ask you a real quick question here. Obviously, I've been kind of watching the odds, of making the playoffs and everything else. In the past, couple days since they went on that little streak, their odds have actually doubled. Listen, it's probably no secret that you and I are not Rangers fans. We're just not. But do you think they have a legitimate shot making the playoffs this year, or is that just,
no? Because they're still 7 points behind. And you still have to leapfrog teams. And when you're in that spot where you have to leapfrog several teams, you have to depend on those teams. Not only do you have to win your games,
they have to lose.
You have to depend on other teams taking a fall.
Yeah.
Because if other teams can maintain a 500 pace, they're in the driver's seat. It's kind of like what happened to Chicago last year, remember?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Chicago put that big push on at the end of the season. And then, of course, they had lottery magic and ended up with the third. Don't even get me going about that. But
as I was looking through that, I mean, you're not catching anybody who's in that in the Metro. You're not catching them. You're not catching the Capitals. You're not catching the Penguins.
Maybe the Islanders. But don't forget that Metro also has Philadelphia, has Carolina, Columbus. So you are in a dogfight as it is.
Yeah.
Right? So, yeah, I mean, they went on a little run. That's great. But I wouldn't sit there and start saying we're going to the playoffs now. They're not built to be a playoff team right now.
Mazzotti's actually checking in. He says they are 12 games out of 24 left against the division. They win those 12 and they're in.
So you're going to win 12 games against your own division.
Yeah.
That's a tough call.
I think,
That's a tough call considering all the other division teams have that same mentality right now.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know if they can sneak it. If they do, they're literally sneaking in as a wild card, I think. That's the only that's your only ticket.
Then you're getting Washington or Boston.
Yeah. That's a tough call too. I don't know. I mean, I hate to be the
But
guy.
I'll tell you what though, it makes it difficult. It makes it much more difficult for their Chris Kreider decision, doesn't it?
It does. It absolutely does.
Because now all of a sudden, if you're pushing for a playoff spot, you trade Chris Kreider. Now you got to answer the fan base with another Dear John letter.
As long as I know he's out there checking this out. Oh, Mazat says not saying they will, but they can. Okay, that's fair. As long as I know he's out there, Mazat, what do you do with Kreider? Do you trade him? Do you retain him? What do you do? See what.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd love to hear. I'd love to hear some of these. Yeah, I love to hear the opinions. So
we're missing a Rangers fan in the
absolutely
studio today. So I want to know that, and also, I mean, what do you think about that goalie situation? What would you do with Georgiev if he's out there? I guess I got to give him a couple minutes.
If you think about it, the Kings got a third rounder for Jack Campbell, so that pretty much sets the market.
Yeah.
Right. And it didn't help that Georgiev went kind of that slide in January. I mean, you can really kind of did a nosedive.
Sure. Which
was the impetus for getting Shesterkin up there, and all of a sudden Shesterkin grabbed the bull by the horn, so to speak, and ran with it. Good for him.
Until he got hurt.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Yep.
And I hope it's not too long term because I picked him up for my fantasy team. So
what's he got, an ankle injury?
Yeah, I think he rolled his ankle or something. So they're right now they're saying it's nothing major, just a little bit of rest.
Short term.
Yeah. So, but I think third round is about what you're going to get.
Let's see. Mazat says, I would like to retain him, but better to let him go and re-sign him in July.
Yeah, and I understand that mentality. I get it. Mm-hmm. But it's like I said, you let players go. And how oftentimes do you see players re-sign with their teams they got traded from?
Yeah.
It doesn't happen often.
And he's also checking in with this. And he says, goalies, he'd like to keep all three.
But are you going to be able now? And I get that too. But if you're going to keep all three, that's a roster spot you got to give up for your forwards or your defensemen. They have the goalie carousel. And at this point, you're going to want Shesterkin playing as much as possible.
Yeah.
He's up now. He's not going back to the AHL. Forget that.
No. He's their guy now.
Right.
Absolutely.
So you keep all three through the end of the season, which is, I think, perhaps that's what Mazzotti's talking about. Mm-hmm. But in the offseason, either Georgiev or Lundqvist has to go.
Yeah.
And if I'm a Rangers fan or GM,
Lundqvist.
I'd prefer it be Lundqvist.
Absolutely.
You know, as much as an icon as he is there, the salary cap world dictates otherwise.
You know, it comes
just
down.
It's a cruel, hard business.
Absolutely, and and it's the
and
same.
if you're going
way
to continue to make strides,
yes,
you got to have that. You got to have that roster spot, and you got to have that cap space.
He says, "Lose Mark." God, I wish I got to get new glasses, man. I can't see anything. He says, "Lose Mark Stahl and Smith."
Brendan Smith,
yeah,
who's been an albatross for him anyway.
Yeah.
Which is, you know what? Which is funny because when they made that deal a few years back, I actually liked it for him because he was actually decent in Detroit, but he just kind of fell off the face of the earth.
Yeah.
And it happens too, you know?
Let's do this. I wanted to take our last break because we're so very close. When we come back, I want to talk to you a little bit more about we were talking about the defibrillator incident.
Jay Boomeister.
Yeah, and you know, you being a paramedic yourself, right. I'd love to pick your brain on that for a minute. And in that time, Mazzotti, if you got anything else you want to chime in, because it takes a couple minutes for it, or a couple seconds for it to get to us, definitely chime in, and we'll tackle that when we get back from break. So we will be right back. And right, am I looking at the thing? I don't want to use that commercial again. So all right, we'll be right back.
So you just bought your dream home, and now it's time to move. Let's face it, nobody likes to move. All the packing, unpacking, lifting, upstairs, downstairs, and broking everything, including your back. Let the professionals at EJA Moving Company take all the stress and pain out of your move. Competitively priced moving, relocation services, office moves, and complete packing and unpacking services. They work with everybody to make it simple and easy for you to move and relocate. Call EJA Moving Company at 315-335-0516. When it's time to relocate, have EJA Moving do all the work for you. Hit them up online, ejamoving.com.
Want to know what's going on at the D? Hit up DisruptionNetwork.net and check out our events calendar brought to you by the Events Co. Find out about upcoming guests, special events, concerts, show schedules, community activities, and more. Get connected at DisruptionNetwork.net.
Oh, it helps if I unmute us. Huh? I'm like, where are we?
We're back in Oz.
We are back in Oz. So I wanted to talk to you a little bit. I kind of alluded to this. Jay Boumeister, I can never say his freaking name. He had an incident, we'll say, on the bench where he actually had a heart attack.
He had a heart attack on the ice. And we got back to the bench, and
it was the Ducks paramedic staff that are kind of credited with keeping him alive. I'm always amazed at how prepared these guys are for this kind of thing. The unexpected. Obviously, I'm thinking back, was it Dale Howardchuk years ago when he got his throat?
No, Clint Malarchuk.
Clint Malarchuk, that's who it was.
Rich Peverly.
Yes,
had a cardiac incident on the bench.
I mean,
he was with Dallas.
You think of these things that go down. It's like, man, thank God they've got the personnel around that are prepared for this. But I mean, I got to pick your brain on it. You being a paramedic, what would that be like, getting that call? All of a sudden, somebody's having a heart attack on the bench.
Well, what they do for NHL and AHL, I don't know about other levels, but they have an ambulance on standby at the arena. And, of course, they have the medical staff because, especially at the NHL level, they have their team doctors there at every game.
Yeah.
So you have a doctor there. You have your paramedics. So you're ready to go.
Yeah.
So at that point, and I don't know if you saw the footage of what actually happened.
Yeah.
So he plays his shift. Doesn't seem like anything's wrong at all. He comes to the bench, sits down, just like taking a break on a regular shift. Mm-hmm. And then all of a sudden, you see him leaning forward like this,
kind of slumping.
He just kind of slumps over down onto the flooring of the bench.
Right.
And at first, I looked like, what's he doing? Whoa, something's wrong here. You see, all of a sudden, all the Blues players screaming at the scorer's table is where, because you have the scorer's table in between where the players' benches are.
Right.
So that's how you contact officials and this and that. So then they cut the camera away. Obviously, you don't want to.
Show
This
that.
isn't reality TV. Okay, I mean, come on.
Nobody
Which they
wants to
got-
see somebody die on the ice.
Right,
So,
right. So obviously they got him on the stretcher and got him out, got him off the bench and into the back, back to the dressing rooms and all that.
Yeah.
So from what the reports are saying, they did hands-only CPR on him, and they also defibrillated him, which is to shock the heart.
Okay.
So, and just to give you a little bit of a background on how all that works. So when you shock the heart, you're not bringing somebody back. What's going on is your heart is a muscle, and it's going lub dub. That's why when you're playing diagonal, you're listening. Oh, bub bub. That's what you're listening for, right? Lub dub, because it's going from the upper chamber to down to the bottom. There's 4 different chambers it goes through. I'm not going to get all technical.
Yeah.
Okay, so when you shock somebody's heart, what's happening is you're going into either like a VFib. It's called ventricular fibrillation, where that bottom part of your heart is your ventricles. That's what's pumping your blood out. That's that dub. Boom. Well, when you're in VFib, what's going on is it's shaking. It can't get any blood out because it's all controlled by electrical impulse throughout the heart. So those electrical impulses are going bonkers.
Everything's out of haywire.
And that's all of a sudden why you see somebody just go down because they're not getting any blood.
Gotcha.
Right? So think of it that way. So when you shock the heart, you are correcting the electrical impulses,
Okay.
is what you're doing. You're bringing them back. Or not back to normal, I should say. That's it in a really quick layman's terms kind of deal.
The Cliff Notes
There's
version.
much more. It's much more involved than that.
Sure.
But that's basically what happened with him, from what I understand.
Yeah, I mean, I just looked at that.
But he didn't have any kind of a history.
Yeah.
And obviously not of any kind of cardiac issues or anything like that. That happens. Sometimes you just, I hate to say it like this, but sometimes you find out the hard way.
And that's
it
the
just,
amazing thing we're talking about. I mean, this is a guy who's been around.
Yeah, he's but 36 years old, I think.
I'm sure he's been playing since he was a little kid.
Oh, absolutely.
And you're on the ice not just on game days, but through all the practices and everything else. You're going hard, and then in the middle of a freaking game, it's so weird that would kind of manifest itself in the middle of just a random game.
And apparently, this wasn't just from. And again, this is all from just reports what you get from Blues, management and all that.
Yeah.
So apparently, wasn't going to be just a one-off kind of thing because he now has an implanted defibrillator,
right?
Which senses now because they do if you ever seen somebody with one, it's like there's a big disc coming out of their chest.
I have never seen that.
It's implanted under the skin. Yeah, it's under the skin, right?
Yeah.
So what it'll do is if it senses his heart going back into VFib, it'll shock him
automatically.
Automatic,
Okay.
boom, just like that to correct the electrical impulses.
Now, realistically, can he play with something?
I don't see how he could possibly play at an NHL level with that. I don't.
I don't even know why you would want to take the risk.
Yeah, and if you're management, why are you taking it? Why would you say, "Oh, we'll put you back out there"?
Yeah, that's
it's
like a recipe for disaster.
No, I would have to say, especially given, like I said, he's 36 years old, so
yeah,
you got to figure that he's going to retire. I would hope for his health's sake that I mean, you hate to see anybody have to retire under that kind of circumstance, and it stinks. It's terrible. But
yeah,
you don't want to see that happen again.
That's the thing. I would much rather see him retire than have something on the ice end him.
And especially knowing we know nowadays medically as far as the risks that players are taking anyway, and how, there's all these other different factors like you take into account, like head injuries and stuff like that. You don't want to push the envelope, so to speak.
Sure.
Why would you take a chance with your heart?
I don't know.
I
never would.
So I mean, I'm not a doctor, but I'm not, so I'm not responsible for signing a paper or anything like that. But just from a strictly paramedic view, I mean, you still have to exercise and stuff like that. I get it.
Yeah.
But not playing NHL hockey.
Yeah, big difference. Big difference.
But I'll tell you what an outpouring of support throughout the league for him.
Absolutely.
It was fantastic to see. Every team had some kind of show of support for him, which was awesome to see.
And I got to tell you, I mean, hats off to that paramedic crew because from what I was reading, everything was done within a minute's time.
Yeah, it helps. I mean, you had the paramedics and you had the team doctors there, working on them too. So I mean, it was a very smooth.
It's just amazing how much of a well-oiled machine they actually are when they get the call. So hats off to them. You obviously saved that man's life. So.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So and especially in the midst. I mean, any kind of situation like that is chaotic.
Yeah.
But I mean, I can imagine having to first have 20,000 people in an arena, and then I mean, it is nerve wracking. I will say that.
Yeah.
But it's you do what you got to do.
Crazy. Maybe that's why I'm not a paramedic. I would be like, I need an adult. Somebody help me down.
Somebody call 911. You are 911. Aw.
Somebody call somebody else. Listen, again, thank you so much, guys, for sticking with us a little bit late today. We certainly appreciate it. Sorry about the late start. Damn you, Facebook. Yeah, and we will, now that we got those kinks worked out, we'll go back to our normal time. 15 minutes earlier.
Lombardi time. 15 minutes early.
But and hopefully next week we have Yoshi back with us. That'd be great. If anybody has any questions, comments, any of that good stuff, go ahead and send them in. We definitely read them after. We still get all of.
Anybody got any topics you want us to cover?
Yeah,
within reason. Within reason. Okay.
I want to know how to build a bridge.
Do you guys think you're going to be playing on hockey on Mars sometime? No.
Yes, absolutely. With the way the NHL is trying to expand all weird places. Yeah, probably. But, I think that's going to do it for today. And we're going to stick around, you and I, because we're coming up on EC Radio after this, right?
Absolutely.
Is that what we're doing, Z? Yes. Okay, so we're guests on EC Radio. So make sure you stay right here, and we'll be back in just a little while. Again, thanks for tuning in, and we'll check in with you and All Pucked Up next week. Right? Sounds great. Okay, we'll talk to you later, guys.
See ya, everybody.
So you just bought your dream home, and now it's time to move. Let's face it, nobody likes to move. All the packing, unpacking, lifting, upstairs, downstairs, and broking everything, including your back. Let the professionals at EJA Moving Company take all the stress and pain out of your move. Competitively priced moving, relocation services, office moves, and complete packing and unpacking services. They work with everybody to make it simple and easy for you to move and relocate. Call EJA Moving Company at 315-335-0516. When it's time to relocate, have EJA Moving do all the work for you. Hit them up online, ejamoving.com.
Want to know what's going on at the D? Hit up DisruptionNetwork.net and check out our events calendar brought to you by the Events Co. Find out about upcoming guests, special events, concerts, show schedules, community activities, and more. Get connected at DisruptionNetwork.net.